the theory examination that will be written tomorrow. As you all know, our examination will be on the 9th of November at 1400 hours, and the paper will be general tips and notes, because we've identified what type of questions you ask, common when you answer the questions in the examination. Now, first of all, the scope as per our January 2021 Abridged Section 4 amendment follows. Section A will be question 1, 2, and 3. That will consist of matching the columns, true and false, as well as your multiple choice questions. Then in section B, we've got question 4, which covers the system technologies topic. Question 5, that will be an integrated scenario. Now, the breakdown in terms of the marks, for section A, it will be 25 marks. For section B, question 4 will be plus minus 25 marks. Question 5, plus minus 25 marks. Question 6, 10 marks. Question 7, 10 marks. Question 8, plus minus 15. And then in section C, question 9, 25, plus minus 25. Now the structure of the paper, if we look at the paper, in section A, we will be having question 1 up to question 3, which will cover the short questions. This section will include the following: multiple choice questions that will cover all the topics. And I think you must remember that each column's question also covers all the topics, and that will be 10 marks. For the multiple choice, it will be 10 marks. And then the question number 3 will be the modified true and false questions that will also cover all the topics, and that will be for 5 marks. In question 4, the questions relating to the content, concepts, and the skills in the topics as listed in the CAPS document include, but not limited to, the following: computer hardware in your scanners and network technologies question, and it will be plus minus 15 marks. The questions relating to the content and concepts in the skills as indicated in the CAPS document includes the following: what is a network and why would internet services, as well as the World Wide Web, the websites, web technology, browsers, e-communication, including emails and instant messaging. In this question, there will be a formulation of key questions to locate data, and it will be direct to problem solving. You have to choose and locate and access appropriate data sources, check the quality and accuracy of the data, data processing, interpretation of data and information. In question 7, that covers our topic of social implications. It's also plus minus 10 marks. The specific topic related to the use of ICTs, educational and agronomic issues, environmental issues, including green computing, etc. In question 8, it's our solution development. This question will cover plus minus 15 marks. The question will focus on the knowledge and understanding and developing of solutions using application software, aspects of your applications that you've studied. So in this question, we will be getting questions on our practical paper. So it will cover your Word, it will cover your Excel, it will cover your database, and it will also cover your spreadsheets. In question 9 and 10, it's our integrated scenarios. These questions, both of them, will be plus minus 25 marks. Candidates will be presented with 2 real-life scenarios on which questions will be asked. that will cover all the topics and that will be examined. The questions will assess candidates' understanding of the technologies, their ability to make informed decisions ranging from choice of technology, application software to be used, networking, etc., through the responsible use of such technologies. If you look at all previous question papers, you will see a scenario, and then we also examine new technologies as per our 2021 exam guidelines. In the CAPS document, it suggests that the inclusion of newer technologies and a phasing out of some of the old technologies as there is a rapid development in what is examined. The exam guideline document lists new technologies that can be expected in the exam paper and outline the depth and the knowledge that is required by an end user. So in this new technologies, you'll have to be able to define, indicate what it is, you have to indicate the purpose or the function, what it does, why it is needed. You have to be able to list the advantages and disadvantages, the benefits. Now, in terms of these new technologies for paper 2, there is some clarification that we need to do. Most of the technology and concepts are listed in the CAPS document, and it covers the following. First of all, your storage devices and media. So your SSD, your solid state, able to define it. You'll have to indicate the purpose of the function, advantages and disadvantages, able to define them. You need to know the purpose, what it does, why it is needed, advantages, disadvantages, benefits, the limitations, application in an ICT environment. So you'll have to keep this in mind when we go through the list of your new technologies that is listed in our 2021 exam guidelines that will be valid up until the 2023 exam. Now, in terms of the storage devices and media, there's the SSD, the solid state drive, printing, 3D printers. In terms of communication and communication devices, the standards for wireless communication, NFC, video communication. In terms of our internet technologies, your URL shorteners, Internet of Things, autonomous vehicles, your drone technology, wearable devices and technologies, shaping, that is our network tuning, and then throttling, that we call policing as well. Then we've got our cybersecurity issues, clickjacking, ransomware, screen lock patterns, authentication. Like on the internet, it has to do with the internet safety. Then we also have to indicate how this technology can benefit the society and with their social implications, especially these new technologies, like for instance your crowdfunding, your bring your own device, your BOID as we call it, your big data, augmented reality, your artificial intelligence, your fourth industrial revolution, your fifth industrial revolution, as well as blockchain. Now, all these concepts, and I know you've done all these concepts, but for all these concepts that I've just listed, you must be able to define advantages and disadvantages, the benefits and limitations, as well as the application in the ICT environment. And I know you've covered this during the course of the year, so you will be getting some questions on new technologies. Then there is also some technologies and concepts that will no longer be examined in the examination. And what is important for us is I'm just giving you a list. So Encarta, your faxes and fax modems, your Firewire, freeware, shareware software, FTP, MICR, MySpace, OMR, your PDA, your RSS feed, Second Life, your standalone versus your integrated software in terms of the Office package, Office suites, your trackball mouse, as per the exam guidelines of 2021. Then we also, in our theory, we also have some blurred technologies and concepts. And in some cases, in other cases, the set differences between devices and technology and devices will not be examined in order to avoid confusion for the candidates, as well as during the marking process. Devices such as printers will be examinable, but the comparison between the various printer types will not be examined. In terms of the Wi-Fi technology and connectivity, the 802.11a/b/g and n, the candidates should know that 802.11 refers to the Wi-Fi connectivity standard. The details of that specific standard will not be examined, that a/b/g and n. Those will not be examined. The concepts of a plug-in as a way of customizing the browser are required to distinguish between these two concepts. So you will not be required to distinguish between plug-ins and add-ons. The term add-ons will be preferred. Candidates will no longer be required to distinguish between a phablet and a tablet. A phablet is a small screen tablet or a larger screen smartphone. Modems and routers distinguish between the function of a modem and the function. So you must just remember that in terms of the modem and the router, you have to distinguish between the functions of a modem and the functions of a router, even if it's in one converged device. Then the differentiation between LCD and LED monitors will not be examined. So you'll have to take this into account when you prepare for the examination. Then general notes in terms of the CAT paper. Do not leave any questions empty. You have to guess if you have to. Number your questions correctly and start each main question on a new page. Be careful of not answering questions, because it wants the opposite. So if a question says you must explain something but not, then you know it wants the opposite. Then in terms of the short questions, section 8 has been indicated. If you don't know, guess. However, never put more than one answer. For instance, if you have to answer the question and you have to answer question 1.4, you cannot put, if you are not sure in the multiple choice questions, you put A. And please remember that please don't put two answers when you have to answer a question, especially in section A, where you have to, for the multiple choice questions, just put down one. Multiple choice, you can guess if you don't know, false question. If you don't know, guess all of them as true. No marks are awarded for false only. When you indicate false, you also have to indicate the correct term. Then you have to change, because if true and false, you have to change the underlined word to make the sentence true. For instance, for example, I've got a question here, for example, a printer is an example of an input device. So if you say it's false, then you must change the word input, because the word input will be underlined to output. So when you only answer false, you won't get a mark, because you'll have to correct actually the statement. Then in terms of the long questions, this has changed, and now markers may only look at the first two facts that you've answered for the 2-mark question. For this reason, writing in a paragraph rather than bullets is now recommended, since you don't limit yourself as much with, for instance, only the 2 bullets. Can I just repeat that? If you answer a question, don't answer it in bullet format. Answer it in the form of a paragraph, because the marker will still continue marking. There might be a correct answer that you've put that can still a mark can still be allocated. But if it's in bullet form, only the 2 will be marked, and then you will, if let's say the 2 will be wrong, then you will be getting both of them wrong. Leave a line open between every single question. Just makes it easier for the marking purpose, and it also looks very neat. And then be careful not to write in different styles, as this can be considered as another learner's writing. I know there are some learners that will be changing their style of writing, and can also be then, questions will then be raised, and then we will then check if there was not an irregularity, if somebody has written for you. If you answer a question in a different place than normal, for example, an answer at the end of the paper that you left out earlier, that you wanted to then decide to answer, please indicate this where the answer would have been. Make a note that it is on page number 12. So if you, for instance, skipped, let's say you skipped question 4.3.2, and you put it on the last page, then you can just, if you did not leave enough space, then you can just indicate answer on page number 12 or page number 11, so that the marker can immediately know. Answer all questions of a question, especially if there is more than one point in a question. For example, name this and support it. Your handwriting is very important. If the marker can't read, he or she cannot read. Let yourself be guided by the number of marks. 1 mark perfect. Never give one-word answers. Answer in sentences, please. But if you do it in sentences, state why you say that. Let me just repeat that again. Always give a reason why you say that. In question 4, 9, and 10 counts the most marks, because it counts plus minus 25 marks each. So after completing section A, consider answering this question first before you carry on to question 5, 6, 7, and 8. Question 4, 9, and 10 counts for plus minus 25 marks. So try and answer them first before you go to the other questions, question 5, 6, 7, and 8. Then there's just a few. Please, 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 don't rush through reading the question. Read it a second time if necessary. The most common mistake learners make is to misunderstand the question and answer something completely irrelevant to the question. Please don't rush through the questions. Read, even if it's a second time or a third time, just to make sure that you understand the question. Then take note of exclusions. This gives you an idea of the type of answer they want, but you can't use this answer yourself. What are the advantages of the internet? Or for instance, let's say, what are the answers, the advantages of a net besides? So the other then means you'll have to change. Stick 2 ways besides, then they will actually exclude those answers that you might have thought about. Identify keywords and underline them. Be extra careful of questions in section C, especially question 9 and 10, must lead your answers with reference to the scenario. So in question 9 and 10, there will always be a scenario. You have to lead your answers with reference to the scenario. Then there's a few action words that you need to remember. It will also indicate what you need to do. For instance, if it says compare, it is in the opposite form won't earn you another mark. For example, SSD is more expensive than a hard drive, or a hard drive is cheaper than SSD. It will only concept. You have to define the concept. If it says describe, state in your words using diagrams where appropriate the main points or structure of the process. where you have to describe. If it indicates determine, to calculate something or to discover the answer by examining evidence such as looking at an advert and being asked to make a decision. Then differentiate, use differences to qualify your categories. When you have to explain or discuss, give a clear, detailed description of the focus question. Identify means you have to name the essential characteristics. Illustrate, give examples to demonstrate or prove something. Justify, give clear, detailed reasons for taking a particular position. Name, state or give, write down information without discussion, and then recommend and suggest, give your own opinion and back it up with facts, a reason, or an explanation. Now, there's a few common mistakes and words you should never use. Never use words such as easier, better, faster, cheaper, more effective, without providing an explanation of why you are saying it. It is easier, better, faster, cheaper, or more effective. Give specific examples or explain how it is DVD. Assume that the marker is not a computer person. Be very specific and use proper computer terminologies. Don't use it, for instance. Then there's also a lot of confusion around the use of the word data. Because you must not be confused. Because it turns into information after processing. And data is used for mobile connectivity. Let me repeat that. Don't confuse data, because in one instance, data means it turns into information after processing. And data is also used for mobile connectivity. Then mobile data does not equal cap, because cap is a certain cut-off point. Because if you've got a cap of, for instance, 10 gig, if you've used up your 10 gig, then your connectivity will be cut off. It is not the same as data. So mobile data does not equal cap. Then don't blame every problem on a virus. If it could be caused by, because it can also be caused by malicious software called, if it is caused by malicious software called malware, it's because a virus is just a subtype of malware. Then there's also a few tips on how to answer questions. For instance, if the question says, what effect will it have if you replace a laptop's hard drive with an SSD? That will be a wrong answer. The correct answer will be the performance of the computer will improve because the computer will be faster. Without an explanation, it's not going to give you any mark. Like I've indicated previously, that please don't just answer. If you answer with easier, better, faster, cheaper, or more effective, you have to provide an explanation on why you are saying it. Then another question, how will a barcode scanner improve a store's productivity? Some learners might answer it will be better, right? Then it will actually be wrong because it just indicates better without an explanation. The correct way of answering the question will be, it will be better because they can work faster than typing it by hand and make less mistakes, so there will be high accuracy. So if the learner will just indicate it will be better, then the learner won't be getting the mark. It will be better because they can work faster than typing it by hand and make less mistakes, and that will actually mean higher accuracy. The second type of question, way without replacing the mouse. or charge the mouse. But that is not possible to charge the mouse. Both answers will be incorrect because you have to suggest two ways to fix a mouse pointer that moves in an unpredictable way without replacing the mouse. The correct way of answering that question will be to reinstall the driver for the mouse, to recharge the batteries, or else to replace the batteries for the mouse. The first candidate just indicated install driver. The other one, and then another type of question that might be asked suggests a way to improve battery life or maybe be wrong because there's no explanation. The correct way of answering that question would be to set the brightness lower because that will actually now improve. It will actually save on your battery power if you set the brightness lower. Not just to set the brightness because as a marker, I won't know what you actually mean just to set the brightness. Then, just for you to remember, the questions are always in this order. Question 1, 2, and 3 will be our section A. It will be your system technology. Always answer this from the perspective of the pet. Then, question 7 will be your social implications. Question 8 will be your solution development. And these questions will be about the practical, a screenshot. You must just look at the screenshot, look at the answer. If they need a specific number, you can. Then in question 9 and 10, it's a mixture of all the topics. So in question 9 and 10, you get a mixture of system technologies, internet and network technologies, information management, social implications, as well as solution development. So, and it's a mixture of all these topics, and it's based on a very specific scenario. Then, I think what I also wanted to indicate to learners is please, when you go to the examination venue, please don't forget your ID and your timetable. I've seen some learners that had to go back because they've just forgot their ID, and then you will not be allowed into the examination venue. Then we also have a competition, and you can take part in this competition. You will be able to win a MTN t-shirt and a cap. And I'm just going to test your knowledge, and you'll have to answer this question on the Free State Department of Education Facebook page or the YouTube. List 2 benefits or advantages of artificial intelligence for 2 marks. Let me repeat the question. List 2 benefits or advantages of artificial intelligence for 2 marks. And remember, let yourself be guided by the number of marks, 1 mark perfect, which means in the question that I've just asked, list, it will be 2 marks. The question will be posted on Facebook page as well as the YouTube channel. You can answer, and I think you've got up until tomorrow at noon to answer the question. And you can then, one of you can then win the MTN t-shirt and cap. So candidate theory examination that you will be writing tomorrow at 2 o'clock. The question paper will be out of 150. It will be a 3 hours paper, and it will consist of 10 questions that you'll have to answer. I just want to end this session with a quote from Mr. Mandela, may his soul rest in peace, that education is the most powerful weapon we can use to change the world. Let me repeat that. Education is the most powerful weapon we can use to change the world. Then there's a second quote from Mr. Mandela that I like. It is impossible until it is done. Thank you very much for your for listening and watching, and everything of the best for your exam paper tomorrow. Thank you very much.